Hey guys, so today I am home alone on this beautiful Saturday morning, and what do we do when we're home alone? We make do-it-yourself videos, right? That seems obvious. So today Amanda is up in Park City. She is celebrating her bachelorette party. I don't see the boys or go hang out with the boys till a little bit later tonight, so we're going to do a quick install while I have a little bit of time. Today, thanks Petey, we're going to do coilovers. So they're actually not too bad. Well, the rear is not too bad. The front's kind of a pain, but we'll go through both of them. So the first one we'll do is this rear one, and then we'll go to the front. Then we'll go to the front and I'll show you how to do the front coilover, which is more of a pain. Don't mind my rusty rotor. That'll be taken care of with time, hopefully, and more money. So let's do it. Okay, so the first thing you need to do, obviously, is get the car up on the stands, get the wheel off, which is pretty straightforward, cut and dry. There's two main points that coilovers are attached, up on top, down below, real simple. So pop open your trunk. If you look on top, right here is the cover. You just have to undo that. On this side you'll see I have the piece undone, and that's what it looks like when it's installed. So there's the top of the coilover that I did on that side. We just need to get to the top of this one. So a few simple screw here, screw there, clip there, and it pops right off. When we go down here, we can see, so up there was the part that's up in the trunk, and then this right here is the bottom of it. Simple, right? So you have to undo this, undo the top up there, well, up here, and then it pops right off, right? Sometimes, and not really. So they're very, somebody's honking at me. So there's going to be a lot of prying because there's a lot of tension with the springs and those struts. So we'll have to get a pry bar and kind of finagle its way out. And also, like I've said before, I'm not an expert. I don't know if I'm doing this right. It works. Everything that I've done works. But if you notice I'm doing something wrong, let me know down below, but don't yell at me too much. I don't really do this very much, so let's try it. That's it, done. So now, if you look on top, there's just 3 bolts. 1, 2, the third one's under there. You just have to undo those 3, and that's it for the top. And then the top slides right down. Well, kind of. So these bolts here are just a 12 millimeter. Obviously a little bit harder to get to the top of this one, so using just a box wrench to get it. That's it, all 3 done up here. Now let's go down below. Okay, so now we're going for this bolt right there. It's a 19 millimeter socket, and it is kind of a pain, so you get to watch me struggle. Hopefully I can get it off. Not too bad. And so what I did on the other side is I actually went out and rented some coil spring compressors. I don't know if that helped or not. I'm going to do it on this one as well, just because it worked on that side. Maybe let me know down below in the comments if that's something I really actually need to do, or if it's something that if you guys are going to do it, you can just skip that step. Okay, so you can see it's compressed it quite a bit more, and it's kind of has a little more give to it. I think. I don't know. If this does nothing, then obviously skip it. But I feel like it helps. So we'll see. Okay, I'm gonna get this bolt out. Once again, this might not be the right way. I just kind of pound it through there. And there you go. It just released it. If you could see that jumped up. This isn't lined up with the holes anymore. So as soon as this bolt came out, it released all that pressure. Now comes the fun part. So I'm using this. It's kind of my makeshift pry bar. But we'll get it in there somewhere good. And you're gonna, not there. And you're gonna push down, and you gotta push down enough that it pulls those 3 bolts out of the top. So it pulls them out, and then that way you can pull that strut forward out of those holes and pull it right out. So wish me luck. Okay, so I have the pry bar, it's slid in. I'm just gonna pull down on it here, and then hopefully hold it with one hand while I grab the strut and pull it out with the other one. Whew, I think I got it. So I was able to push down with one hand and my knee, and from the top side I was able to push it. Once those bolts came out of the holes, I was able to push it this way, so it popped out. And now you can pull it right out. So there you have it. Strut gone. That, it's kind of a pain. I have a little bit of blood, but there's easier ways to do it. Well, yeah, if you want to take more time, you can undo more components to make it easier to just drop it down, and then the strut will slide right out. But this isn't necessarily the lazy way out, it's just a different approach. So a little bit of prying, a little bit of effort, elbow grease, we got it done. Now we're putting the new coilovers on. And what's nice about that is it is super simple because they're a little bit shorter. So as far as fitting it in, it goes in real simple, real easy. What I do is I slide in the top first and just kind of finger tight, put the bolts on, or the nuts on up top so it holds it in place. And then down here, I'll get a little jack and start lifting this up until this lines up with the holes on the bottom. I can slide the bolt right in, tighten everything up, and you are done. And it's in place. So let me show you what I did. So up top, I literally just finger tight, put that one on and that one on. I still have this one. So that's almost lining up. Very, very close. So what I'll do is I'll take a little floor jack or like a car jack. I'll jack it up right here. So it'll start lifting up from this point. It just needs to come up maybe ½ an inch. And then it'll be lined up. I'll slide that bolt right in. And then we just have to tighten up top, bottom, and then you're done. So I'm just gonna finish it up real quick. That's it, in. And now all we have to do is tighten up those 3 bolts up on top. And there you have it. So we have the top done. We have the bottom bolt tightened. if you think about it, that's literally everything. So you're done. You can bolt the wheel on, lower the car, and go drive. Obviously this is on a 1997 Supra, but the same approach, the same general idea of removing the old strut, putting in the coilovers is the same throughout for any car. There's going to be maybe different components that might be in the way, different things that you have to take off to get to the top of the strut, but other than that, it's about the same. So now that that's done, we're going to go to the fronts, which is a treat. Alright guys, welcome to the front end of the car. And as you can see, the rotor is much better looking. So hopefully soon something like that will be in the rear. Maybe something bigger than this will be here, and bigger than that in the back. So we'll see, things to come. But with the front comes a lot of parts to remove. Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but there's a lot more things we need to do. There's a lot more involved with the front than there is on the rear. So let me show you. So the strut goes right through here. So you have this is completely surrounding your strut. So it's in the way. How are you supposed to pull that out of that? You have this in the way, not a lot of space. And if you can see up in here, the top of it's actually sunken in up there, whereas the back side is just flat and we could pull it right out. This goes up inside, so we have to bring it down a lot more to get it out of there. So what we're gonna have to do on the top, same thing, the 3 nuts we can undo up there so we can slide the bolts down, but down here we're gonna have to take this apart, take the end link off, and then if you can see it, the bottom's fairly similar, I guess. Just one bolt right there. We have to undo this right here, and this bolt right here slides out, and it's really long, so we're gonna have to take apart the fender, I guess the fender covering right here, so that bolt can go in and slide out that way. Remove that, and then we can pull it out. So a lot more. There's a lot more involved. So let's do it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is take apart this end link, so the top part. And what's tricky about these is it has an Allen wrench on the end of it, of that bolt, and then you have a 14 millimeter nut right there. So if you just take a 14 millimeter and you start cranking away at it, this bolt actually will spin inside that end link, and you don't want that. So you want to hold it still. Let's see if we can get that on there. You want to hold it still with an Allen wrench. Hold it so it doesn't move with that Allen wrench, and then start cranking away with the 14. Maybe. And then what I do to get that off is I'll take a pry bar, pull the end link down, and slide that bolt out. Okay, so now we're going to take this apart. Now it's just a 19 millimeter socket, and breaking this nut is kind of a pain. So there's a few ways you can do it. You can wrench at it and brace yourself as much as you can and really hurt your hand. You can see my hand is really red. It's not moving. You could use a breaker bar. You could use something like this, where you just kind of wrap it in there, and then you can use that as leverage. Or sometimes when I get really pissed off, I just use a hammer. Whatever way, or if you have air tools, which I have air tools, I don't know why I'm not using it, but if you have air tools, the gun will fit in here pretty easily. You could just zip it off easy with that. So whatever way works best for you. So now once you break it, it really becomes just so easy. You can twist it off with your fingers. And there you go. So before I keep messing with that, I'm going to undo this bolt right here. So the bottom of the strut is just same thing on the other side, 19mm socket. I'm just going to break the nut on the opposite side. Now we have that done. So you can see up here, we have the same thing. 1, 2, 3. Just undo those, and then eventually it should just pop down through. Don't mind the dust. Pretty gross. Okay, so you're good. Okay, so now I'm actually going to take this off, which are the clips holding this sensor. I'm going to take this one off and this one off. This one is also holding that sensor that's going along here, so that way I can get it out of the way. So I can get this bolt to slide all the way out of that. So we just have to get all this stuff out of the way. So now the sensor's out of the way, I can get it off the frame as well. Okay, so now that pulls away like that. See if you can see that. Yeah, so it pulls away so we can get that bolt to just slide up through there. Oh, I'm knocking you guys over. That way we can remove this. And this is out of the way now. So we're one step closer. As you can see, and if you didn't notice, I'm not using the spring compressor, so I'm going to see if it works without, which I think it will. The way I have it set out in my head, I feel like I don't need them, so we'll see. We have everything out of the way. We're going to slide this bolt out of here so we can move this. So we have top of the strut undone, bottom of the strut undone. You can kind of see it shakes and moves a little bit, but it's just stuck in this trap. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lift up on the rotor just a little bit so it kind of relieves any type of pressure on this bolt. And that way it should, oh yeah, see, it should slide out fairly easy, but I have to move that. And there you go. It is a big, long bolt. And now that that's out, you can move this right out of the way. Just like that. Okay, so I discovered something. As I was about to undo that bottom end link, I found out that we don't actually need to do that. Now that everything, you can kind of see this, the rotor is leaning forward, and it's not being held by the brake line at this position, so it's good. It's not pulling on that. I had to go get my dog from killing someone. Okay, but as you can see, it's not being held by the brake line, so the brake line isn't under too much tension, which is good. So at this position, I can actually pull down on the rotor, and you can see that the strut is moving up and down pretty easy. And I found that if I pull it down enough, it slides right out. And there you go. You're done. That one's out. And just like the rear, it's easier to get the new coilover in, and then we just have to bolt everything back up. So when you're putting everything back in with the new coilover, you just want to follow the disassembly in reverse. So this goes around that coilover, so you want to get that on before you bolt everything else in. For right now, what I'm going to do, same thing as before, I'm going to tighten it up top and then just raise the bottom part so I can get that bottom bolt in. Okay, and just like that, that coilover is held in place in there. So now I can just raise everything up and slide that bolt in down below. And it comes up pretty easily to where you can slide that bolt in. And there you go. And now it's hooked on the bottom, hooked on the top. Next, I'll put this back around it. Slide that in up there. And it's tight enough that it'll hold on its own once you put it into place. And then it's just a matter of taking the long bolt, sliding it in, tightening everything down on that. Okay, so once you find that hole, it takes a minute to kind of get it to feed in there. It'll slide all the way in and come out the other side. Make sure to put on the big flat washer again. And then the nut. Buckle up that sensor again. The last part is getting that end link connected to the sway bar again. So, and that, it should be almost to where it fits. Once again, just take the pry bar, bring it down just a little bit. Having issues with it again. Just enough to get that end link in there. And you'll tighten it up or get the nut on there. And then same thing putting it back on. You're going to have to use that Allen wrench to hold it from spinning while you're tightening that nut down. So now we'll just go back through, put everything back in and tighten it down. Okay, so you want to just kind of run through everything that you went and took off and make sure that you've tightened it down. So I tightened the bolt down back here. Nope, I have not. See? Okay, so you'll want to run through everything and make sure that it's been tightened down. So the back part, this long bolt, I just tightened that down. I tightened down the two brackets. I've tightened down the splash guard bolts and the bracket back here on this sensor line. I have tightened the end link to the sway bar, and then the bolt that is at the bottom of the whole strut or the whole coilover system. I've tightened that. So that is everything I've messed with down here, and now we just go up top, finish those three nuts off up top, and you are done. Alright guys, so there you have it. The car is done. So we've done the rear, we've done the front, and once you've gotten that done, head to the other side and just repeat what we've done. So now you can start the adjustment process. Other than that, as far as getting them on, that's it, you're done. So hopefully you've liked my video today. Again, I don't do this very much. I love to just jump in and try things. So if there's better ways, and I'm sure there's better ways of doing it, let me know down below. Let all the subscribers know, everybody that watches this video, you can we'll look through and see if there's better ways to do it, but this is one way. It worked for me. You can do it, obviously. I've done it at home here in my garage. You don't need big power tools, just a bunch of hand tools. But anybody can do it. So if you want me to try anything else, which we have more parts coming in that I'm going to do more do-it-yourself videos, but if you have anything specific you want to see, again, comment down below, let me know, and I'll see you next time.